Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Inside Eden. I am your host and friend and designer, Jamie Roddy, and I started EdenLA Interiors in 2009, and I've made all kinds of mistakes that you don't have to. Today, we're doing a rug rule book because I get asked a lot of questions about rugs, sizing, materials, shape, and I kind of want to just do it all in one cohesive rule book. It's a lot to cover, so let's see how we do. We'll just get into it and see how we do. First off, when I say rules in interior design, you have to always insert air bunnies because there will be a case where you said it was a rule, but it doesn't work here. And that is the only rule, is that there's no hard and fast rules. But we're going to get into general principles that will help you when you're decorating for yourself and when you're choosing these things because rugs are expensive, y'all. Okay, don't mess it up. Let's get it right the first time, and so that you can stretch your budget, so you can make everything look beautiful like you had hired me. Ding. Let's talk about size. The rule is go as big as you can. In a living room situation, you cannot go smaller than all the front feet of the furniture have to be on the rug. That's a rule. If it's smaller than that, you're breaking it. However, if all of the back legs can also be on the rug, this is where you're hitting genius luxury. This is where it looks a lot more expensive because, frankly, it is, y'all. If you have a 5x8 rug, that costs a heck of a lot less than a 9x13. I mean, we're not even talking double. We're talking like triple and quadruple a lot of times because the square footage is thusly. So if you can afford it, the bigger you can go, the better. And I'm going to talk a little bit about layering and some techniques that you can do to kind of stretch that so that it does look more luxurious. It does look like you've made your rug as big as possible. Dining rooms, all the chairs have to be on the rug, period. There's a rule. Has to be. And you want to leave enough room to pull the chairs out like 24 inches on the ends as well as the sides so that all chairs are on deck. Let's talk about shape. Some people try to put a rectangular shape of a rug in a sectional configuration that's square. And that only works if you are, this isn't a word, but here we go, rectangularizing the room by adding some chairs to make the space rectangular. Otherwise, if you have a specifically round table or a square opening for a sectional, you need a round or a square rug, or that looks kind of ako taco. Um, Again, case by case, everything is different. These are general principles in my rule book, but that wasn't alliterative, so here we are. This is one that I see you guys doing, and I need you to stop. Let's just all come together and let's agree now. We will stop running our rug in our bedroom parallel to the bed. There's no rules, right? This is a rule. Quit it. It's not right. You've got to run the rug parallel to the wall behind the bed. You can run the rug parallel to the headboard. Now, how big do we go? Again, go as big as you can. With some caveats. One is you got to make sure your doors open and close. However, friends, hot tip, it's probably a lot easier to shave the bottom of your door so that you can get a much more luxurious rug than you realize. Get a handyman, take the door off the hinges, shave a 1/4 inch, a 1/2 inch off the bottom of your door so that it clears a nice luxury rug. And I don't even mean like a shag rug. Like sometimes I'll put in just a normal sort of pile 1/2 inch or less, and doors don't even clear it. Those doors are annoying and builders should stop making them. But they look luxurious when the space is just done. It's a sign of good building that I then have to deconstruct. But it's a lot easier to do that. So if you found yourself in that pickle, you're like, well, my door doesn't clear it. Take the door off the hinges and shave it off. That's a fun hot tip. Now, another rule in bedrooms, you want to go as big as you can. However, you want to try to avoid bifurcating any kind of a passageway. So if you open a door and then the bed is over here and you have this passageway here, you don't want the rug to be right in the middle of it. Either pull the rug all the way so you're walking on the rug every time you come in the room, or pull it back here so you're walking on hardwood floor and then the rug lines up with the passageway. So I do see that happening sometimes. So let's try to avoid that. I have, in a couple of unique cases, very few in my 15 plus years of doing this, ran runners alongside the bed, along the side rails, so that when you get out of bed, you put your feet on there. But those were very unique circumstances. It is not my favorite look. Probably should be avoided, but in a pinch could happen. One other thing about shape of rugs is often overlooked. If you have like a round dining situation, think of like a breakfast nook, or you have like an apartment situation and you maybe a table that seats four, something like that. I don't like round rugs. I don't know why. I don't like them. I don't, it's rare that I will use them, and I'll say that, and then tomorrow I'll do something, it'd be perfect. Here's a round rug, and I'll eat my words. But in general, you know what I do love? I love a good cowhide moment underneath a round dining table. And if you are vegan and this upsets you, just skip ahead about 30 seconds. They have a shape, essentially they're round, but the shape is sort of like more organic shape, and it just makes the whole situation so much more interesting. So if your sensibilities allow, and not too many of your friends are vegan, it's not going to really affect or offend anybody. Don't overlook a good cowhide moment underneath a round dining table situation. Those are often they come in really clutch very often. So let's talk about materials and maintenance. You've got the classic. You've got wool. Now, wool is timeless. It looks elegant and it lasts for a very long time. You need to know the first year to even 18 months of a wool rug sucks. The thing is shedding constantly. So if you're only going to live in a space for like a year or something, you don't know, just skip the wool rug. If you're going to live in a space for a while, you want something that looks elegant and timeless and relatively durable. Wool is fantastic, but it will shed for a year and a half. You get these little fuzz balls all the way around, and you kind of constantly cleaning them up until it rids itself of those, and you can get on with rug business. Silk rugs are exquisite, and really, in my world, should never be used by anyone ever. They're gonna stain. So if you are an empty nester, if you have specific rooms that no children or animals ever go in, oh, the sheen, the quality of the tufting, absolutely immaculate. I've been lucky enough to work with some very fine silk rugs, as many of my clients were, and they have been Persian, and they'll get these rugs passed down from their parents. They'll tell me, I want to do my entire house completely modern and use these rugs. And I happily comply, because that is a cool juxtaposition. Let's talk a little bit about flat weaves. Flatweaves had their moment, at least out here in California, and trends differ throughout the U.S. and the world. They had a pretty good moment, but they were being called out as really durable, great for high traffic locations. That's only true if you can throw it in the wash. Not all flat weaves are washable. So if you can, great. But if not, they are like any kind of natural material, like a cotton, um, bamboo, jute, etc. Unfortunately, they're going to stain. And I don't know what marketing genius has come around purporting that linen rugs are great for high traffic areas. Stop right now. stop. They are not. Linen is like the most sustainable material ever. It's only like appropriate for a suit you wear in the tropics, period. I never, maybe curtains, but I never put it on any of my upholstery or rugs. You know, my clients live like we live out loud and we're having a good time. And we don't want to like babysit our furniture. And linen is just not the way to go. Also, not great for high traffic areas is any kind of viscose, art silk, bamboo silk, banana silk. Yeah, viscose especially. Oh, the sheen is so beautiful. I love a good viscose or art silk moment in a bedroom, like a primary bedroom, where you know you're going to take off your shoes. But even like water will stain this stuff. It is completely and totally very delicate. But if you can live with it, it's worth it because oh, they look delicate. They look beautiful. Let's talk about performance rugs. Okay, these are great for families, pets, dining spaces. You just want to be careful they don't look too cheap. Now, a cheap rug will have a clearly man-made sort of polyester tufted weave, maybe an accent banding on it. I don't care if something isn't expensive as long as it doesn't look cheap. And sometimes some of the newer rugs are looking really, really cheap. That being said, the flip side of that, there is a whole slew of indoor outdoor rugs that are coming out that actually have a soft hand that feel really nice. You would never think that it's like an outdoor rug, which we normally think is like plastic. What they're doing these days is they're taking polypropylene actual threads and they are dyeing them with a marine grade dye. So that means you could put it on a boat, right? And then they're weaving the rugs with this pre-dyed marine grade polypropylene. You could bleach clean these bad boys. They are too cool for school. So I do like those a lot as long as they don't look cheap. All right. Let's talk about the latest innovation in rugs, which are the ruggables or these washable sort of rug pad systems. Huge fan. Wish I was sponsored by Ruggable. I certainly give them enough business. Huge fan of these. Now, they look like what they are. They're not very expensive and they sure don't look like it. But they have such cool designs that you just kind of go with it. Like, you don't care. You can tell this was not hand tufted in a cave in Turkey, right? You can tell there was no Indian family waking up with their chai tea, hand tufting these rugs. But they're so cool. And they come in tons of different styles and shapes. And that's, I've had a white ruggable runner. I had it for like 3 years in my main hallway in a house where we don't take off our shoes. We are not delicate humans, my family and I. So, and every 2 weeks, just remove that, throw it in the wash, and put it back. Looks brand new. They are what they purport. If you've never tried them, they are that good. Caveats. If you have a big bad boy like a 9x12, it's not going to fit in just your plain washer. You're going to have to go to your local laundry facility and get that handled. So that is a caveat therein. But I love using these in kids' rooms with all of the great patterns and designs, colors, especially if I want to do a whole black and white moment, which I'm extremely fond of. And you can't otherwise use a white rug. Here's a hot tip. Hot tip. Cowhide rugs. Since we're talking about sustainability, these things are like my personal secret weapon. There's pros and cons to them, but for me, they're huge. Like, this is my top floor. What you see behind me, that it's blurred out, but that is a white cowhide rug I have had for I think 5 years, and it still looks brand new. They don't stain. It's like if you spill wine on your hair as opposed to a sweater. Like a wool rug, you spill grape juice, wine, something like that on it, it is going to stain. If you spill it on a cowhide rug, it blots right up. Now, here the cons of it are that usually the cowhides are put into little strips. You know, there's two kinds, the organic shape that I told you to skip ahead if that offends you. But then there's also the kind that just is in like strips, tons and tons of designs of these. And they can go from like lower middle end to extremely expensive upper end. So those little strips, the hair can rub away as you walk on the same path over and over and over and over. That is the con to these, but usually the strips are varied in color as cowhides are. It's a natural material. And when the hair wears off of the leather strips, it just shows leather through. So you really don't even notice it that much. This one behind me probably has strips where the hide is showing through because the hair has worn out. You can't see it. It totally camouflages. These are like my secret weapon. I use them probably more often than I should. So much that lay people say, wow, she really likes that rug, doesn't she? It's just like the only rug that you can actually have a white rug in a room. And I love to be able to just live on my furniture. So I like a good colorful sofa moment. I love something that's a little bit darker to protect the stains, but then you can't have the whole room looking dense. So I like a pop of brightness from the floor, which also balances from, you know, your walls and ceilings if you're doing a white situation. So that is a fun hot tip. People are very often surprised when I tell them about the stain resistant, resilient properties of a cowhide rug. Okay, so to recap, I want to go over the most common mistakes. Number one is your rug is too small for the space. Number two, ignoring the shape of the room or the space. And three is running the rugs parallel to the bed. You guys stop. I did promise you some tricks though for stretching your rug budget. Take a look at some of these. I love to run a tremendously large Cecil jute situation underneath all of the furniture so that it looks expensive and just have the color pop where the front legs of all the furniture can sit. I love to layer rugs that way. There's a couple reasons why this works. One is it stretches budget because like if I had taken this colorful rug here and ran it under all the furniture, it would be very expensive. Where a jute rug like this is going to be like in the hundreds, like if you get a huge one, a 9 by 13, something like that. And then I can do an 8 by 10 of this more colorful one that costs, you know, more in the thousands, but as opposed to being thousands and thousands for the large one. But the other reason I like it, I love that I can have a color pop without being completely inundated. I like my color to whisper at me, not yell at me and take over the entire space. I think you guys could see just by looking at the photo, if that colorful rug had run underneath all of the furniture, how that would be like, it's just too much. But you can also see if we just did all jute, it'd be snooze town. So that is a fun pro tip for you. Layering of rugs with, you know, in different materials can just create a nice texture, a more intelligent moment for you and your space. Couple more hot pro tips. Floor tiles. I love floor tiles. They actually work great. You wouldn't know it's a floor tile, and this is FLOR. You can look it up. And again, I should be sponsored. They they work tremendously well. You guys, you could just take this floor tile and run it over to the sink and like wash it off. And then if it gets completely and totally obliterated, you can just replace that one tile. They sell them by the tile. And I love how they don't look cheap, but they're just like super, super resilient, effective. They have tons of like colors, patterns, designs, floor tiles for the win. Big fan, especially in kids' rooms. I like them in dining rooms. I like them in just like rooms where people are just, they're getting used, obviously playrooms, but I use them in living rooms too. If the people have multiple children, but you don't want like a crappy rug, floor tiles are not totally cheap. They still run between 20 and 30 bucks a square foot, which is not inexpensive, but they're a great find. So definitely look into those. Um, Another pro tip for you is going to be rug pads. I'm going to end on this one actually. Rug pads for the win. In fact, in our studio, one of my admin people had a little post-it note on her computer, rug pads for every rug every time, so that she would remember every time we're sourcing any rug ever, there is a rug pad. It's another $100 usually. It is going to prolong the life of your rug for triple the life of your rug in wearability, durability, even the underfoot feel. It'll protect your floors. Like, that's a hot pro tip, designer pro tip for you. Rug pads. So that is that's a lot of rugness for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have questions for me, you know, I am all about it. Hit us up at EdenLA at EdenLA.com. In the subject line, write Inside Eden question. And I'll be more than happy to answer it if it's a good question. Hope Rug Rulebook has helped. And this was fun. Thanks for chatting. I'll see you soon. Ciao for now.